we get hype beyond hype with a Sprite fight and a Marvel vs. DC fight coming surprisingly soon. That and more on today's episode of BrobusCast Death Battle Edition. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of BrobusCast. I'm your host, Brobuscus. With me today is ZDogg.
Hello.
And Richard.
What's up?
Simple. I like it.
The most normal intro so far.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
All right. So how y'all doing?
I'm excited.
I'm very
excited.
Pretty excited with what we have to talk about. Yeah.
Because we have a new death battle, and oh boy.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, first of all, I just want to slide in a little plug here for a friend series of mine. If you don't mind.
Sure.
So I just want to slide this in because I really wanted to get more love. So my friend Sunny D, aka Sunmo, released his first episode of the reboot of his show, Fictional Fairy, with Ness vs. Silver, and if you guys could, I would really like for you guys to check it out because it's really good. And he's been working a lot on this, and I would really appreciate it if it got more love. So
Hell yeah.
Cool.
So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yes, and for my plug, go check out my review for Shadow versus Ryuko. So far, it has over 300 views, and I would very much like it if we can get it to 400. So,
Yeah, cool.
As for me, I suppose, I don't really have much to plug. I guess it's a couple months late, but go check out my Crash 4 video, please.
Well.
yes.
Also check out our Among Us videos; they're really good.
Yeah, they're really funny.
All
right.
And check out the review podcast, please. Anyways, yes.
All right. So with that out of the way, let's get into gushing.
Yes, please.
Yes. The 2D fights are back.
And they are better than ever.
Yes. My worries can finally be put to rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Shadow the Hedgehog
really
versus Ryuko Matoi.
A mediocre legacy matchup that ended up having the most kick-ass animation.
I wouldn't even say it's that bad of a legacy match. But,
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah. Holy crap is all I can really say.
Yeah. It lived up to the hype, I'd say.
I had a blast with this one,
Which makes me so glad. Finally, these two got the great episodes they deserve. So.
Yep. Especially Shadow, because at least Ryuko has the chance to come back at some point.
True.
This is
the
make or break for Shadow.
Shadow's appropriate for.
He has 3 episodes. I'd say 3 is the limit.
Yeah, 3 is the limit. I'd say. But yeah.
Yeah, this was going to be make or break for Shadow, and they made it.
Yes.
They did not break it. Thank the heavens. I guess we'll start off with the results and the analysis. First off, Shadow does win.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of clear.
As much as I hate to say it. Like, okay, like, even to someone who prefers Ryuko in this case, like, I do agree, Shadow does win and deserves it.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop me from being sad, though.
Yeah, I get it.
No, I consider it a long overdue pity win, but not on their behalf, because
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, again, I said not on their behalf. I'm just saying, like, really, I feel like just going into this, I feel like, okay, it was kind of obvious that they didn't want Shadow to win, because if you go watch the episode commentary, they actually all really, really, really liked Ryuko, and they were like, "Holy crap, she's like very powerful." It's like, damn it! It's like we hate that she lost. Like they were rooting for her. So
especially the animators.
When
that's why this.
Yeah, no.
Split. Like we'll get more into it when we talk about the animation, but that's why this animation kind of takes that more Studio Trigger feel. They just
yes.
That's the
no,
thing with.
I personally, I'm with y'all. I would have liked it if Ryuko won, or even better,
you're only
if she was.
Oh, you're only with ZDogg on that. I was totally Shadow.
Well, again, I mean,
okay, like don't get me. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. Like I like Shadow, but I also like really like Ryuko. She's like my. Currently, out of the ones I've seen, she's my favorite anime protagonist. So like,
that's surprising, actually.
Still stings. Like I do like Deco and Afro, but like, come on.
Yeah, no, and please do not mistake me, because I'm not the biggest Shadow fan. I mean, I don't think he's a bad character. I very much like his story and his writing, but the whole Edgelord thing again.
Admittedly,
no, like I'll be nice. Go ahead.
Sega, I think one of the writers even said, and in fairness, the writers are gone, so maybe in the next game we'll get better writing. But they specifically wrote Shadow to be like an Edgelord parody, which on one hand I guess is fine since they've already pretty much gotten Shadow's story written. Like it's written, it's over, so they don't really need to do much building for him anymore. But like, I also feel like that kind of defeats the point of what he was built up to be in the first place. So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of indifferent to it. Like I see the idea, I see what they were going for, but it just kind of defeats the purpose of his development, I feel.
Yeah, no, I mean, but hey, you know, in my opinion, I'll still take Shadow over Silver the Hedgehog.
I agree with that, and I agree with that, and even I like Silver.
So
I'll 100% take Shadow over Silver, and I like Silver. But yeah.
Also kind of sting because this is probably going to be the starting of a huge loss streak for Kill la Kill. So,
yeah.
I'm from what I understand, Satsuki is the best chance we have to win, and
even then, I don't think so. I mean, it also depends on who she fights. Because I know Virgil's huge, but like I know also
Virgil and Bruno.
Bruno, yeah. I have no idea about Bruno, but I'm pretty sure Virgil beats her.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll go more into that.
Later.
Yeah, no.
When it's relevant.
Result-wise, it was kind of obvious. It was just this was Shadow's redemption.
I do kind of like how they didn't sugarcoat it as much. Like usually they'll like sugarcoat how obvious the result is, just to kind of be nice to the losing combatant, which is fair. But for this one, it's like, yeah, Shadow could have won even without going super. It's like, oh well, okay, good on you to be blunt about it, I suppose. I very much thought that okay, I respect them for that. You know, it's like, hey, you know, you're not tiptoeing around it, you're just getting straight to it. But at the same time, once again, it just reminds me that then why didn't you put Ryuko up against someone like Akame or anybody other than fucking Shadow? Because in Akame's case, like Akame versus Ryuko is everything people say badly about Ryuko versus Shadow, but it's actually, you know, true. Like the whole, like when it comes to connections, at least everyone says the connections between Ryuko and Shadow are just they're black and red and they're edgelords. Which isn't true.
When you look,
Ryuko almost has the same backstory as Shadow, just without Maria.
yeah, like, even now, I still see people on Twitter, I'm like, oh, why did you guys pick this matchup? They don't have anything in common. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you guys have watched Kill la Kill, right? Like,
No, I have, like, as somebody who hasn't watched Kill la Kill, like, even I could tell there's more than meets the eye with Ryuko. It's just, again, I've never been a fan of this matchup, and I dreaded it coming into Death Battle, but now it's finally here, and the best thing about it was, I mean, Shadow won. I guess that's really all that matters.
Shadow won, and he didn't get completely dumpstered on in the writing.
Yes, which that's
thank goodness.
Huge. Yes, like unlike a certain Wonder Woman, they actually did a good job of covering Shadow's backstory, his powers, his feats, like really doing a good job of scaling him to Sonic. Even if I slightly disagree with the whole him almost outrunning the black hole feat, but
well,
Sonic stats are Sonic stats.
They did a lot more with Shadow than I expected them to. Like even if they were going to go with the whole, okay, we want to make sure we get Shadow right. They included a lot more for him than I thought they would. Like they gave him his guns. He didn't use them, but but they gave it to him. They gave him a sword, which only shows up in IDW comics. They gave him his Dark and Hero form. Again, he didn't use them, but they were there.
They gave him the motorcycle from the game.
Yep,
so that was
they did that.
Cool.
They gave him Sonic's. They gave him the Emerald's feat of pulling the planet back together. They didn't mention Dark Gaia, which is kind of but I mean this works too.
Actually, I remember someone saying it's kind of a good base level for like those characters, like the super characters, and like just in general, it is good like base level for like the Chaos Emeralds.
Sure.
Yeah, like going with the idea of having him be planet level thanks to the Chaos Emeralds. I think that was a good compromise, and obviously they didn't want it to be like, okay, we don't want to go any further beyond that, because if we do, then the animation's just going to be showing that, Shadow could just end this anytime he wants to.
And the feat itself was was only accounting for a single Chaos Emerald, let alone all 7. And then they mentioned how Shadow without his inhibitor rings can match the power of a single Chaos Emerald. So it's like, Shadow could just straight up take off his inhibitor rings and kill Ryuko without going into super form. Nice.
Which wouldn't have been entertaining.
No. I will also point out, Ultra did mention, because the big Kisaragi feat that everyone was talking about that got like, what was it, Moon to like Small Planet or something like that?
Small Planet level. I checked.
Yeah. People have recently gone on record to say that the feat is actually questionable.
Yeah, it is highly debated in whether or not that's accurate, but like.
And even Ultra said like we probably like it is weird, and we probably wouldn't have like included it had this been called into question earlier. But it also would have put Ryuko at a much bigger disadvantage, so we just gave it to her anyway. Which okay, fair. That's fair enough. But it also shows just how how Shadow could have just easily won at the beginning. Which he didn't, but I mean, obviously, otherwise that would have been freaking boring. But yeah. As for the analysis itself, it was mostly fine. Like the actual analysis was good. We pretty much covered that already.
I mean, I still have my personal quarrels with Ryuko's, but I mean, it's fine. It's not that big a deal.
For clarification, he just means
once
that.
Again,
for clarification, I'm assuming I have the same idea. He
probably
just means, He just means that. I'm assuming it's just that you mean that Satsuki and Mako didn't get mentioned.
Okay, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand why, especially in Mako's case. It's just I love Mako. It bothers me more in Satsuki's case. Like Satsuki is a bit more of a major part of her story, but like I guess I can understand why she wasn't included in the writing.
Yeah, they made it work without it.
Yeah.
No.
A lot less. There was a little bit of character building for Wisdom Boomstick in this one, but it wasn't quite as big as Yoda versus King Mickey. The only thing is it's kind of weird. So remember back in Wally versus Archie Sonic when Wiz just kind of casually drops, "By the way, I'm married." That kind of comes back here because he has a ring on his robot arm. And then when Boomstick asks, like, "Wiz, do you have a daughter?" Wiz like, "No."
Yeah.
I wonder what that could imply.
Like, even though the lead up to that was kind of bad, like, yeah.
Yeah, no. It's nice, it's fun, but yeah, I agree. I feel like they're doing a meh job of the comedy, what else is new. But yeah, I appreciate the world building and the character building moments, but yeah, no. They're nothing to write home about.
No, but they also never were supposed to be. I don't think. Like, yeah, I mean, having a bunch of details on Wiz and Boomstick as characters is nice and all, but that's not the point of the show. We're not here to learn about Wiz and Boomstick. We're here to learn about Shadow and Ryuko. So I can understand it, at least. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get into more gushing.
Yay.
Okay, I'm just gonna be blunt. This fight animation is freaking sick.
It's so good.
It's very good.
Oh my gosh.
Like I'm gonna be real. This is probably my favorite 2D fight. Yeah, I feel comfortable saying that. Yeah.
I don't know if I would go that far.
I mean, it also
like,
could. I mean, it could be recency bias, probably, but as of right now, that's where I stand.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Sonic fight, like without a question. Like I love Wally versus Archie Sonic, but this is better.
I would still have to disagree with that. While I agree that this is a great start to the 2D fights. I feel like this is a top contender to be in my top 5 or top 3. I still would prefer Archie Sonic versus Wally West just because of the variety and the levels of God levels of stuff that was employed there. I mean, it was fine here. Like there was a lot of things to gush about, but at the end of the day, I would still say that this is a great appetizer for what's to come. Like I'm looking forward to the main course. So if the main course is just as good, if not better than the appetizer, then I'm all into that.
Yeah.
And I guess in my case, I still kind of prefer Mario vs. Sonic 2018, but that could just be more biased on my part. But like,
I was about to say, yeah.
It's like, God.
Like, I like Mario vs. Sonic,
I
mean,
really love it. Oh my gosh. Like,
I mean, it also could just be like I just got into Kill la Kill, so I now understand everything that's been said, what's going on, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I just find it weird that I watched Kill la Kill, and then like 5 days later or something, they announced, oh, by the way, Shadow vs. Ryuko's next. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, good timing on your part.
Yeah, it's funny because I realized this is the second time that's happened.
What was the first?
My Hero, actually.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh.
I got into My Hero, and then a few
I
days later,
forgot about
by the way, we're doing All Might versus Might Guy, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Is that gonna be the curse? You're gonna get into anime I like, and then they're gonna lose. Like, is that my curse? Gosh dang it. No, whatever.
And don't worry, next time we'll see Mako beat the crap out of you. Oh, wait.
Anyway, no, like, new anime, whatever.
I know.
Don't remind. Anyway.
Does Satsuki losing to Virgil make you feel any better?
Meh.
Okay.
Like, okay, I mean, I don't want to get into this much.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah.
Although speaking on the topic of Kill la Kill, I want to talk about Ryuko.
Okay.
Her sprites. They went with the puppet style for Ryuko. They didn't for Shadow. They used puppet elements, but it was mostly just standard sprite animation for Shadow.
Yeah. They look so good.
And before anyone asks, yeah, that's the same sprite they used in Shadow vs. Mewtwo. But for Ryuko, it was all puppet style. It was custom. It was based on a sprite she has, but it was like heavily modified and is in the puppet style.
Yes.
And like, boy, you could have fooled me.
Agreed.
Like the puppet style here is seamless.
It is.
Like the hype building up to this was that they perfected the puppet style animation, and it shows.
Most definitely, they did a great job. They did a great job. Like, it shows how far they've come with the puppet style in just a year.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm a Brobuscus. Like, I couldn't even tell where the rigged puppet style ended and the actual sprite began. Like, that was very good, and very
honestly, that's how it should be. Honestly.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It might help that there's a lot more like drawn in, I guess, because like with the puppet style originally, it was just move a joint, move another joint, and that was pretty much it. Which is why you get such jank, like in fights like Danny versus Jake. But in this fight, they animate like each different piece of Ryuko's body, and it like blends together much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really how it should be.
And honestly, at first I didn't even realize it was puppet animation, like in the preview.
I'm actually like. I noticed it, and I was kind of surprised people didn't. But after looking back, I'm like, I can kind of see how people wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
But like initially, I was shocked people didn't realize that was puppet style. But like in a pleasant way. I was like oh, people didn't notice? Cool.
Yeah.
I saw some people being surprised. I know you were too, ZDogg. I saw some people surprised that this took place in a city.
I mean, yeah, and I guess in hindsight, I thought it would like have something to do with like Shadow going to Hinoji or something, but like it makes sense the more I think about it. So
yeah, like I get it here, and I think it's the first Sonic fight to be in the city, which is weird. Not counting the 2 seconds that Wally and Archie Sonic were in a city. That doesn't count.
I mean, no, not even because they were in a building.
I guess I don't know if that counts either. I
think you're right, actually.
How? I mean in the streets of a city.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I wasn't surprised by that. I was more surprised by the lighting, but I guess thinking back on it, that's kind of how Kill la Kill is lit sometimes. So sure, I'll accept that. And it was like I was saying in the analysis, when it comes to the fight, they did a lot more for Shadow than I expected them to. Like he's teleporting around, he's doing more than just spin dashes and chaos control and the spears and whatnot. Like he's moving fast, which is something that's really oddly rare in Sonic fights. There's a lack of speed. Like when you think about it, Shadow, Metal Sonic, and Sonic in the first fight are like the only Sonic characters we see use speed to like in I'm trying to word things as best I can here. Their fights are the only ones that have an emphasis on speed, which is super weird when they're Sonic characters. With their whole gimmick is I have to go fast. So I do like how it's implemented here. He's using a sword. I'm almost positive that was custom. Like there's no sprites of that anywhere, I assume. He does pull out a gun, but so this is weird. Like
throws it away.
Yeah.
He pulls out a gun, realizes like
that part's so funny.
Yes.
It looked like he realized that his gun was out of ammo, but I'm like, why are you packing a gun with no ammo in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also view that as like, this is freaking stupid. This isn't gonna work. Just throws it away.
Both are equal.
Yeah. So I can't judge too much on Ryuko's behalf because I literally have only watched Kill la Kill once. But ZDogg, how do you think they handled her, like as far as a combatant?
Yeah, I think they handled it pretty well, honestly. Like, yeah, I mean, I do kind of agree that there's certain things you missed. Like, I know Kama mentioned a few of them, but like, and like, I don't know. Overall, I think they gave her a lot of respect, thankfully. So that's good.
Cool. I saw some people talking about how like the beginning of the fight, why the fight starts. Like people were pointing out that it's a little weird that Ryuko would just want to kill someone over getting cut off in the road. From what I've seen, that's definitely. I feel like Ryuko would definitely act that way at the beginning of the series.
Yeah, not towards the end.
But towards the end, I can still see arguments being made for it being towards the end. But but
yeah. That's also kind of the same way with her calling Senket stupid, but like.
Yeah. I think why she does that is because, and they mentioned this on commentary. Genevieve, who wrote this episode, hadn't watched Kill la Kill before stepping into this. So all she really had to work with was what she's seen. And she's seen a little bit of it, of course. She has to. But I don't think she watched the whole thing. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I am choosing to believe at the moment. So that could be why Ryuko acts this way. Which in that sense, alright, fine. It's not too big a deal. It's not like... We've had weirder ways of fights getting started. So in this case, I'll let it go.
Yeah.
And at the very least, it was in character for Ryuko at one point, so I'll let it slide. But yeah. And then just that whole thing with Super Shadow and Senketsu Kisaragi is I knew they were going to include that form for spectacle.
So happy.
And yeah, it served its purpose very well. I do wish that part lasted a little longer, but that could just be because I was so into it that I didn't want it to end.
I get that.
But just everything they did with the hand-drawn stuff, they recreated. So this is something interesting. So they recreated the transformation scene at the beginning of the fight.
Yes, I know.
And here's something interesting. So the storyboarder on this one, John, the one that Richard will continue to gush over.
Yep.
He actually created that entire scene from memory.
Oh my gosh.
Like he watched that and then he watched the transformation sequence and then just started drawing.
I could do this.
So yeah. And he did point out. I know some people were complaining about them not doing the same thing for the Kisaragi form. He does mention that they were going to do that, but time just wasn't on their side. So I mean, the sacrifices you make, and it looks fine in sprites, so whatever.
It looks kind of jank, but overall it's not. It looks overall fine, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. My boy John did a great job. He was asked to personally animate all of the hand-drawn sequences because Luis and Zach could not. So yeah, and it was awesome. Although he thinks he could have done better with the eyes, I disagree. I think he does great work, and I did. I loved every bit of it. I feel like having his style in a Luis and Zach centric episode, it just gives it so much more eye candy.
Oh, so one part that I can't help but appreciate, because it's so cleverly used, is just when Shadow's in the air with the sword and he's spin dashing. He's combining the spin dash with the sword. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That is very clever. I wasn't expecting that.
That was so cool. But of course, the thing that I feel like a lot of people popped off at the most was the ending.
Oh my gosh, the ending! The ending was so freaking cool. And honestly, I feel like it's very cathartic for longtime viewers.
Yeah.
Especially for like the Sonic fans.
Yeah. We do get a sayonara. Shadow does not say it, which initially is upsetting, but
no. But honestly, I think what we got instead was better.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Ryuko's the one that says sayonara, but Shadow's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. I said it once, I'll say it again. It's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shut the hell up.
So what's interesting about that, the way that was written, they were initially going to like just write in as a joke, like as a callback to Shadow's other fights, like I'm getting tired, something along the lines of like I'm getting tired of people telling me that. But they thought like the way they thought like this way would have been easier for new viewers, like in case they don't know. And in that sense, yeah, like I mentioned this when we talked about Yoda versus Mickey, but I'm not a fan of them throwing in memes for the sake of throwing in memes. So Shadow just like being like, I'm tired of people saying sayonara to me. Like I'm like, I think probably could have done better with that, but then they did. So cool. It's honestly the same with how Shadow reacts to the Kisaragi form. I know a lot of people were really hoping for a wow, what a ripoff callback. And it would have been cool, but I think what we got was better.
Especially since it's actually referencing Sonic Adventure 2 with like Faker.
You know the line.
You know the line. But so it may not be exactly what we wanted, but we still got it. Like,
we still got it in another way.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. Everything, like, as soon as the action started, as soon as they got off the bikes, that's where it just kept getting better and better. I loved everything about this animation, and just the end, it was a great cap off to this just amazing fight.
Although
again,
on the topic of like the ending as well, I know a lot of people were complaining like, oh, it's another incineration death, like I mean, I guess that's fair. We've gotten 3 of those in a row, but But
I
like,
mean, it makes sense at least.
yeah, like, was there any other way Shadow could have ended? I mean, obviously, like, you could argue like Shadow's fast enough to just kick her head off or something before the life virus can heal. But but I mean, like in this instance, like, was there really any other way this could have ended?
Yeah, it makes sense on how to permanently put down Ryuko, and it's like that move has been cucked from him like 2 other times. Like,
I know.
let him have this. Like, he got,
yes.
Give him one.
I
And it's such a cool move too. Like, come on.
Oh, sorry. And I was gonna say, and at least with this one, you can actually see Ryuko disintegrating. So
yeah, that's true.
Again, yeah, no, I don't mind the somewhat, I guess, anticlimactic ending. I really do like how he finally gets to use Chaos Blast and you see Incineration. So hopefully, yes, this will be the last time they pull the Incineration card. But for here,
well, for a while,
it at least makes sense because, again, yeah, Shadow has tried that move twice in his past, now non-canon episodes, and it just felt like, okay, you had to let him have this. There was no other way to send Shadow's victory off but to have him use Chaos Blast.
Yeah. Like honestly, like the only part that I'm disappointed about is like how nonchalantly he says like, so like Chaos Blast. He just says Chaos Blast.
I honestly don't agree with that. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, that's mostly
like,
that's mostly for the voice acting. But
well, yeah, but like still.
I know, but like
I still think it's a point to bring up here.
It grew. Yeah, okay. I do somewhat agree with ZDogg. I feel like, you know, the first time I heard it, I felt like, oh, well, I mean, wasn't as epic as I thought. It's like the last one was literally Mickey screaming at the top of his lungs, and all saying, "Oh, and then Shadow's like, Chaos Blast.
See,
like,
I took
like,
that as
moment there.
I took that as like a way of showing off how confident Shadow is, and also like I guess more like, I don't know. I saw a lot of comments talking about it's actually like that was actually intentional. Like there's a meaning behind how nonchalantly he says it. I don't remember, but I just don't remember every detail.
Yeah, no. Look,
but
I'm sure there is a good reason for it to be there, and again, I love hearing what the fans have to say. But you know, as someone who, as somebody who very much is very critical of the pacing, it does kind of kill the pacing whenever he says it like that, and it just, because again, it doesn't match the explosion and the incineration, because it felt like it should have just been a chaos blast, like have him really scream it to emphasize it so that way it matches well, whereas it felt like you could have done that at the beginning, or maybe you could have done that while you were re-entering Earth's atmosphere. I don't know. I feel like I do agree with ZDogg. I feel like that could have been better, pacing-wise. But you know, but it's grown on me. Despite that, it's grown on me.
Yeah, it has definitely grown on me too. Like, so that's good.
Although I guess on that note, since we're talking about that, I guess we can lead into the voice acting now, unless anyone has anything else to say about this animation.
Like I said, it's a good appetizer, and going forward, if the main course is going to be just as good, if not better than this appetizer, then I'm ready. I'm very much ready.
Yeah, nothing else.
Especially since we're going to be using Unreal for the backgrounds now. So
yep, well, we'll get to that later.
Yes.
But okay, voice acting.
Yep. We were wrong.
Oh yeah, we were so wrong.
Yes.
Brendan Blake.
I kind of knew. I'm sorry. Like, no disrespect, but thank God they didn't get Taka.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I like Taka, but I like Takana, I like his take on Shadow, but yeah, it was time to give someone else a shot.
It was time to just pass it. It was time to pass the torch, and it was time to get somebody who could nail the modern voice instead of what Taka did, was capture the old adventure Sonic voice. But
so who do they
yeah,
get?
and
So who do we get in Taka's place? Do we get now? Do we get Jason Liebrecht? No, we get Brendan Blaber of all people.
Yep, everyone's favorite
AKA John Tao Bane.
Everyone's favorite epiphetic racing werewolf.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on top of that,
that was cool.
On top of that, we also get Tom Laughlin as Senketsu. So that's 2 epithet erased people on this fight.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yes, and we get a Simpsons voice actor for Ryuko.
Yeah. Jenny Yokobori, I think. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah. She's mostly now famous for just playing the girlfriend of the comic book guy on The Simpsons.
Okay, cool. And they all did a fantastic job.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think Ryuko's voice. I just wanted to say, I don't want to take the spotlight away from Shadow, but I think Ryuko's voice actor was my favorite performance. She stole the show for me.
I think I'm gonna have to disagree with that. I mean that's fair, but I think I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Although I'm not one of those people that's gonna call out her voice acting, because I know there are people who aren't too big on the performance for Ryuko. And I mean, it's not Erica Mendez, but
no.
But I still think it's good. I mean, it would have been cool if they did bring Erica back as a way of as sort of full circle thing, because she first voiced in Death Battle and then voiced in Kill la Kill, and now she's voicing a Kill la Kill character in Death Battle.
Yes,
that would have been cool, but I don't. That would have been cool, but I knew that wasn't going to happen.
No. Okay, and that's fine. But it's just again, this is kind of the whole Shadow is not really my favorite character, and I kind of already knew what his voice. I already know what his voice is going to be. I already know what the take is, and I know how he's going to be delivered. So there really wasn't much surprise other than, oh my god, it's John Talbane, and he actually knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, out of all the voice actors we speculated to be Shadow, I don't think anyone suspected Brendan Blaber.
Nope.
But he did a good job. They definitely decided to nix the idea of directing someone to act worse. Poor Taka. Yeah, they definitely went away with that idea. So that's cool. And I am also glad that we have someone to bring in a more modern take on, to kind of capture modern Shadow more. Because I do like the voice that modern Shadow has. But it's just it's just the writing for me. That's what kills it.
That's right.
You could have amazing voice acting, but it'll still sound bad because of the writing. Just ask the Primar Shoji. Anyways, but I feel like he kind of captures every aspect of all 3 of Shadow's actual voice actors, and just combines it into one. I mean, there's a very clear emphasis on Kirk Thornton over Jason Griffith or David Humphrey, but I feel like that's kind of a decent blend of all 3 of them into one, and then we get this. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, again, he was very good. I thought he did his job very nicely. I enjoyed hearing a new take on Shadow, but again, then we get to the whole, well, again, going back to the whole monotone chaos blast, like that whole, again, I feel like, okay, if you really, like, it's kind of, again, it's kind of sad when Taka 10 years ago put more emphasis in the Chaos Blast than Brendan did, and again, that's probably that was probably a voice directing choice. Maybe that wasn't his choice because again, you know, the voice actors just do what they're told to do. So, but again, I feel like if he had kind of emphasized that a little bit more, then I really feel like, okay, like this is so good. This is a really great performance. But you know, again, he did pretty good. He was pretty pitch perfect. I'll give him that. And it's just kind of a shame now that he won't get to come back and do it again and maybe improve upon that, because this is Shadow's third requester fight, so it just kind of makes me sad that, man, you know, we got Taka for 2 fights and we get Brendan for 1, and it's like, man, it's like most people are just going to look back and remember Taka more, and I feel bad for that, because I feel like Brendan should get another shot, but you know,
maybe he'll get something with. Yeah, true. That's also true. But maybe he'll get something with another. Maybe he'll get a similar chance with a different character, but in a similar vein.
Yeah.
Or you know, he gets hired for a Sonic project, or you know, maybe another Versus series. I don't know, but
true.
Yeah.
Although he did go to Twitter and say, like, man, if you had told me that that I'd be voicing in a Sonic-related project, I think you're crazy, or something along those lines. So he was really excited to be Shadow.
I'm happy for him.
So that's cool. But with that out of the way, I think we can get into one of the best aspects of this fight.
The music. Holy crap.
Chaos Unraveled is seriously one of the greatest tunes I've ever heard.
I cannot believe they... Oh my gosh. I mean, part of me, I'm hesitant to say this. I'm guessing you're going to disagree, bro. But like, I think... Part of me wants to say this blows Hearts of Light out of the water.
Oh no, it does. Crap. Oh no, I totally agree with that.
Like...
It is such a banger.
Like
so Hearts of Light is a tune that that is decent to listen to on its own, but it's fantastic in the fight.
Whereas this, it's fantastic in and out.
Yeah. This one I could listen to for quite a while. It's utterly fantastic. And yes, they did bring in vocals. Kind of obvious, but I mean, it couldn't stop some concern. But
this is actually the second Theirwolf and Brandon crossover, so yay!
Yeah. And it shows. Like this might be my new favorite battle track. That might be overstepping it a little bit.
I agree with everything you guys have been saying. I had to go take care of something real quick, but yeah, no. For their second track, it is great. Don't get me wrong, it's really great, aside from the whole devil line, which I felt was kind of out of place. But
I mean, okay, it definitely caught me off guard the first time I listened to it. But
Brandon said
but I was like, oh wow, okay, what? But
Brandon did. He dropped an F-bomb.
But
I definitely wasn't expecting that from this track of all things.
I know.
Which at some point, it's grown. Which again, it's grown on me. But you know, I feel like, okay, that's.
I mean, I'm not gonna recite that line anytime soon. But I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, it fits.
Okay, again, it's intentionally going for the over-the-top edginess, which I appreciate, but
adding an F-bomb and the devil line, it's like, okay, you know, dial it back, you know, bring it back. But this is a top contender. Once again, you know, just like this animation, it's a top contender for my top 3. But if I had to choose, which unfortunately I must compare and contrast, if I had to choose between this and Mighty, I would still pick Mighty 9 times out of 10.
That's understandable, but I'm gonna disagree.
I'm leaning more towards Mighty. That could just be because I absolutely love that episode for multiple reasons, but like...
I mean, that's also
well,
fair. I'm not saying...
not...
Mighty's still fantastic. I'm not trying to say otherwise, but... and again, it might also be recency bias.
Hold on.
I believe it could be, yes.
But either way, I think I'm gonna have to pick this one.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, again, I prefer how the lyrics are conducted and written and in Mighty, whereas here, again, that is something that is distracting, where you have an F-bomb and you have a devil line, really trying to emphasize the whole edginess, which, again, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it, but there's doing it, and then there's just overdoing it. So, really, that is going to kind of... And again, every time I've listened to it, it does kind of take me back. Like, it just takes me out of it just for a couple of seconds, and then the next verse will bring me back into it. So, but whereas with Mighty, there's still never a time where Mighty takes me out of it. There's not a single lyric that's like, ew, it's like, I don't know if that'll age well. I don't know if how that'll do. Like, there's nothing. Mighty constantly keeps me in the track. It takes my hand and it never lets go. Here, my hand is let go for just a couple of seconds, but then, you know, it's good. So yeah, that's just me. It's still a great track. Like,
I think the chorus especially is like one of the best aspects of it. Like, it's
the chorus.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is. I didn't expect us to get to this type of quality this soon, but I'm very much happy that we did.
Yeah, and I kind of share that with the episode as a whole. Like usually with the start, like the first 3 episodes of a season, there's usually at least it's been a while since we've had a season where all 3 of the first 3 episodes are really good. Like, they usually drop the ball at either the first episode or the second one or the third one. It doesn't really matter. Or it could be season 5 where it kind of drops the ball on all 3. But
like the last season I can remember that consistently had 3 great episodes was season 2.
Yeah,
and that
even then,
He-Man versus Lino, Strider versus Ryu Hayabusa, and Bison versus Shao Kahn. So,
and even then, you could argue that those episodes, they're still good, but like they definitely show their age. Like the first 5 episodes of season 2 are like the sort of bridge, I feel, between like the jump in quality between seasons 1 and 2. Like there's season 1 quality, there's season 2 quality, and then there's those first 5 episodes of season 2 that are kind of in the middle. So you could argue that would affect season 2 as a whole as well, but in this case, no. Like Yoda versus Mickey and Shadow versus Ryuko both are like super banger fights.
We
haven't had the first 2 episodes be this good in a long time.
And again, unlike the previous seasons, it's always felt like it's been about quantity versus quality. So to have 2 consistent episodes have quality in them, that's really surprising. And once again, that could just be because of the tight budget and the sort of workaround they've had to do with getting episodes pulled and retracted. So I feel like it's making them step up their game. It's making them trying to keep up that quality consistently. And if they can do it for the 3rd episode, 3rd time's the charm,
boy.
then
Oh, boy.
I feel like, okay, I don't even care. Like, if the second half of this season kind of takes a little bit to catch up to what these first 2 episodes, 3 episodes established, then I'm okay with that. Because that just means we're in for arguably the best season. Like, I don't think next season can top this.
At the rate we're going, this could be a season where all the episodes are at the very least good.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
Well,
okay, I would say that, just going off right now, I would say that Yoda vs. Kimiki, it's great. It's really, really great. It's good, like, really good. So, if we can go from good to great consistently, instead of meh to good, then we're on the right track.
Yeah, I could definitely say so. But alright, that's Shadow versus Ryuko.
Yes, thanks. Like, okay, like I know, and I apologize for me being so obnoxious about me worrying about this being a good episode, but like, the fact that this is good makes me so happy. Not just because of Ryuko's sake, but just because of Shadow's sake. Like, honestly, like,
Shadow needed this.
It just makes both of them needed this. I don't care.
No.
It just makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I've not been looking. I've never liked the idea of this matchup. The only way it could get me invested was if the animation, voice acting, and music were really, really good. Like, really, carrying this episode. And I feel like it did that. In that regard, it did its job and then some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, and again, looking back, this probably will be a top contender for my top 5 or top 3. I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
I'm also going to throw out what might be the spiciest hot take on this podcast this year.
Oh boy.
I actually prefer this over Yoda versus Mickey. I
totally understand.
As far as I should clarify. As far as how much fun I had watching, like Yoda versus Mickey is fun and it's very good. Don't get me wrong. Like I definitely think that episode is objectively better, just as far as production is concerned. But I just had an absolute blast watching this one.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, the best thing I can say about this is the best popcorn action episode of the season so far, but despite that, I will still prefer the cinema art levels that Yoda vs. Mickey had, because again, that's what I crave. That's what I like a lot more. I like episodes that try and go beyond just being a popcorn action entertainment roller coaster.
I mean, it also could just be that this episode had a lot banking on it.
Yeah, that's
and it made up for it and then some. That could be another factor as well. But yeah, I totally understand how people would prefer Yoda versus Mickey. Like I said, I do think that episode is overall better. But
honestly, I'm still kind. I know I said I prefer Yoda versus Mickey earlier, but like, it's right now to me, it's very close. Like both episodes do so much right in so many different ways. It's hard for me to choose just one.
Yeah.
I understand, but I'm still sticking by it. Like, I think, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Yoda versus King Mickey ends up higher on my list than Ryuko versus Shadow, just because it's objectively better in every department.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
I'm just.
But anyway, so you're telling. But anyway, so this just in. I've been told that the sprite fights are going to get even better. And this is kind of a testament to how much the actual matchup doesn't matter.
Yeah. Actually, wait. What? I do want to mention one more thing and a bit of a joke.
Okay.
About Shadow vs. Ryuko.
Okay.
So
sure.
now that we got now that Shadow has his good episode after a while, and Vegeta already has his popular request, what Mewtwo match do you guys want to start pushing for to get him a good episode?
You know, you joke, but that's actually a good question.
Yeah.
There are three that come to my mind immediately. One is Zero, because we just did a blog on that last year. The other, which has been popular for a long time, was Black War Greymon.
Yeah, and I definitely can see that.
Yeah. And then the other one that just popped up recently, but everyone seems to be really enjoying it, is Sephiroth.
I mean, they're better. I mean, I'll take any of those over Frieza any day of the day.
That is not. That is hardly a debate.
Yeah, I also see a lot of pushing for Mewtwo versus Tetsuo from Akira. So.
I mean that's also one, but I also hear Tetsuo versus Magneto as well.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take Mewtwo versus a freaking dumpster over Mewtwo versus Frieza any day. So,
I mean, I wouldn't mind
paper bag.
seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Mewtwo versus Zero. I mean, that maybe because I'm a huge Zero fan.
Yeah. Fight sounds cool. So I mean, whatever. I think the only problem with that one, I think the only issue I have with that one is the Zero's. The fight Zero does have is still, I would argue, is still pretty good. Like it's definitely not flawless by any means, but
it's still pretty good.
But I still think it's pretty good. I guess I could also say the same for Sephiroth, but yeah. So I guess if you really want something new, stick with Mewtwo versus Black War Greymon, but
or Tetsuo.
Yeah, I'm fine with any of those three.
But I got a question for y'all. Have you ever wanted to find out who is the best anti-villain in comic book history?
Yeah.
Well,
and I say anti-villain because technically, you know, these two were never really super villains. They just have super villain agendas compared to their hero to their arches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, oh boy, this episode was great. I can't wait the next time these return character to maybe potentially go above what the previous episode did. Oh gosh, dang it!
I mean, okay, look, you know, and
sorry,
I feel like this like I think it's time we just drop kick Dr. Doom versus Darth Vader out of the fucking equation because that fight was not good.
Yeah.
I probably say what the fight is.
I don't fully agree. Alright.
Okay, so next fight.
Lex Luthor versus Dr. Doom.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, remember how that tease at the end of Hulk versus Broly, and how, and remember the teases in All Might versus Might Guy and how spread apart they were? Yeah, we're getting 3 teases in the first 3 episodes. What?
Yeah, honestly, that's. I mean, I don't want to start off negative, but that's honestly kind of one of the reasons I'm not so thrilled with this coming right now.
I mean, okay, to be fair, they never stated. Just because they were spread out last year doesn't mean that was going to be how they were going to do it going forward.
I know, but the first 3 episodes, that just seems a little weird.
Yeah. And
I mean, well, again, in all fairness, it's like we started off with a comic book fight, and then what? Like, then the next episode, the next episode was a comic book fight. No, wait, sorry. The third episode was a comic book fight. So at least here it's more spread out in terms. So you know, hey, we got a third comic book fight. we got the third fight as a comic book fight.
Plus, Marvel, like Marvel versus DC had to come up eventually. Like, I know they said that they're gonna. I know that a lot of the crew have said that that Marvel versus DC isn't going to be as frequent as last season, where half of it was Marvel and DC. But that doesn't mean they were not going to come up.
No. But again, it's better that they saved it for the third episode rather than the second episode.
True. Also, I mean, we knew that this was going to happen, right? Like, I can't be the only one who thought this was a freaking shoo-in to be Lex.
Okay, honestly, like, especially after our discussion, I did kind of think of it more like, this was, in hindsight, this was kind of obvious.
It was obvious, yes. I feel like it was very obvious that it was going to be Lex because, again, it's like both of these two are not just Marvel versus DC characters. They're the biggest Marvel and DC villains of all time. Like, you think Thanos and Darkseid are at the top? But hell no! It's like these two have been at the top of their respective comic book franchise since the fucking Silver Age of comics.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're getting. Yeah, it's Lex Luthor versus Doctor Doom. I mean, what more can you say, really?
I'm hyped. I mean, I'm looking forward to this because.
No, I am too.
Yeah, I mean, this now. Okay, this also could be recent bias because I've been watching the amazing Superman and Lois show, and they have a great version of an alternate Lex Luthor on there that really has me curious. So, and you know, I have been kind of, and again, you know, Lex Luthor has kind of been all over the place recently. Unlike Doctor Doom, who really hasn't been doing much. Last thing he had was...
Wasn't it?
Huh?
I said at least not anymore.
No.
He's in Ultimate Alliance 3, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot more than that.
No. He's been kind of quiet, you know. But
yeah. Well, now that Fox is under Marvel again, maybe the MCU will do more with him.
Maybe. That'd be cool.
Give it like 4 years.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Understandable. All right.
Yeah, no, but this matchup, I know a lot of people are not. First of all, a lot of people are not happy with this.
Actually, I wonder why.
Okay.
Well, let's see. So let me list the reasons. It's a Marvel vs. DC fight. It's of all the two. It's Lex Luthor and Doctor Doom returning again. Why would you put Lex Luthor up against Doctor Doom? Doom is so gonna win. It's like, this isn't gonna be 3D. Or all this shit. There's a long list of why people are not looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, look, I'm bringing this up now because like this was more of a response from the researchers. Like being disappointed with a matchup is totally fine. Like you can have your opinions on the matchup, but like everyone has their ideal fight for any character. And then when it doesn't happen, like, again, it's okay to be disappointed, but like, you're not the only one who had some idea for a specific character.
Yeah.
And just, unfortunately for everybody who wanted like Gilgamesh or Black Adam, but then again, if Black Adam's getting in this season, he's fighting Apocalypse. I can't believe people thought that he was fighting Doom, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, that one's way too recent. Yeah.
Lex was like the like if Doom were to return, Lex was the top one, I feel.
Yeah.
And I just have to wonder, because I feel like Gilgamesh was way too soon as well.
Yeah.
I have to, and I don't want to like, no offense to anyone who actually likes Doom versus Gilgamesh, but I have to wonder how much of the requests were genuinely wanting that match or just not wanting it to be Lex.
No, I'm pretty sure that match existed way before Doom was teased. So. At least.
I mean,
a little bit before.
I mean, it could also be me just not knowing anything about Gilgamesh. So just kind of seeing him paired up against Doom is just kind of fallen on deaf ears for me. Which is probably why I don't remember it. But yeah. I mean, there's a I guess sort of complaint or a source of disappointment that I do understand, and that's comparing this to Lex versus Iron Man.
Yes, which, let's be honest, so let's just get this out of the way now. This battle is probably not going to be as good as that fight.
No. This fight is not going to be as good as Lex versus Iron Man. Not even close.
Like that episode, is widely, agree or not, that episode is widely considered one of the best, if not the best, of the series. So
yeah.
And not saying this episode can't be good regardless, but
oh no, I have
setting
totally...
a high bar, setting the bar that high with Lex's first fight is dang.
I'll be real. I'm totally expecting this fight to be good.
Just not.
I think at this point we can say that they'll turn a piece of crap matchup into a good episode.
Yeah, they did look. I mean,
they've done that before.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the one example I bring up all the time is Shredder versus Silver Samurai. That episode, by all intents and purposes, should have been bad. But they made it into one of the best episodes of that season. In a season that's admittedly kind of a mix of quality, but I mean, still. When that season did something good, it did something very good.
Yeah.
I guess the other one people bring up is Goro versus Machamp, because that fight's just people who fight with forearms.
Yeah.
But they turned that...
Kibble versus Booster Gold.
That's another one too, yeah. That one should not have been as good as it is. And admittedly, as much as I will defend this fight till the day I die, and will consider it one of my favorite episodes of all time, Red versus Blue is admittedly not the greatest concept. It's still one of my favorite episodes the show's ever done, but admittedly from a pure fight concept, yeah, I was initially really confused why they were doing it.
So basically, it's all about execution.
Yeah.
How even if the match is stupid.
Yeah.
Still.
But I mean, in this case, I like Lex. I like Doom. There's a theme. It is there. There is history. We'll get into that later. There's a reason why this episode is happening in this season. And I like both characters. The theme is there, and the fight sounds cool. That's all I really care about.
I gotta agree with you guys. Really speaking, I'm not expecting this matchup to be god tier, but I'm expecting it to be very, very good. And I do see the complaints people have of it kind of having a high bar.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I get it, but I think that this fight does have potential to be very much a great episode on its own, like the past fights that Brobuscus and you have mentioned.
Yeah.
I guess just comparing it, setting the bar so high with your first outing, how the heck do you compete with that?
Although, in fairness, I have faith that this will be better than Doom versus Vader.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's
I can kind of see
really hard to do. Again, I have faith that this episode will be good because Luis is working on it, and Luis and his team rarely let us down.
True. we'll get more into that later. But right now, I want to go over like why this match is happening this season. Like how this fits in. I have the quote. I had to go look for it, but I have it.
Read away.
Okay, I'm reading this word for word. This is from Grand Blazer, who admittedly is not working on this episode, but he's still involved with. He's still part of the research team, so I say his word counts. Marvel versus DC matches are obviously a huge part of the show, so we needed to have some this season. Of the ones that we haven't done yet, characters like Ant-Man and Atom aren't really big enough, pun intended, to really fit in with this crowd. Lex and Doom are both some of the biggest and most iconic villains in both franchises, which is saying something given how many they are. So we thought their reputation was big enough that it made sense to do this match this year, even if it isn't necessarily one of the top requests. So that's it.
Plus, I mean, I'm not sure because I wasn't really part of the community at the time, but was Lex Luthor, like, were these two pitted against each other, like, a lot early?
I wouldn't say a lot, but
fight each other?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I have heard this requested quite a bit before. So, even if it's not, like, a top request, I'd still say it counts.
Yeah. Although, I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
This also means that basically it deconfirms Ant-Man versus the Atom, which kind of blows.
I mean,
crap! And that means I just realized that on my bingo. Dang it.
I mean, okay. In fairness, like I do wish we get Ant-Man versus Atom soon. But admittedly, the two characters aren't. He's not wrong when he says what he says about the two. They're not really big enough to fit amongst a season of big and long requested or like legacy matches. Especially Atom, because comic book Atom is very underknown. I guess that's not really a word, but it is now. They're not exactly the most known characters. People really know Atom from Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, you could also say Injustice 2, but that's Ryan Choi, not Ray Palmer, but whatever. And even like before the MCU, did anyone really give a crap about Ant-Man? I don't think so.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally get it. It sucks, but I totally get it.
It makes sense. Even if it's not this, it has to happen eventually, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it definitely does.
Yeah, no. I mean, these two, again, it all goes back to what we've been saying, is that these two are the biggest iconic villains in DC Marvel's repertoire, and it's kind of just been a dream fantasy fight, because I've wanted to see these two fight each other for a long time, so that could just be that, you know, that oh, wouldn't it be cool if these two fought, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but I do get the disappointment that it would have been nice if it was Ant-Man versus the Atom, but I must disagree. I do think the Atom and Ant-Man are big enough. I mean, dude, Ant-Man has 2 fucking movies, and he's in the highest, now the second highest comic book film, highest grossing comic book film of all time. So if that's not big, then I don't know what is. And, you know, Atom has become big, especially since, you know, he's been in the CW Arrowverse shows a lot, and he's been in video games and cartoons. So I personally gotta disagree with them on that, because I feel like you still, like, Atom and Ant-Man do have just a bigger reputation as Lex Luthor and Doctor Doom, if not more, because again, it's like Ant-Man is in has 2 movies and is in one of the highest grossing MCU films of all time. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Also going back to this, it does I mean, it is still kind of disappointing that it's another tease character in a row. Like, I still am a tad disappointed about that, but like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I just really hope that it's like we don't get Mikasa or any of the other requested characters next, because that would be a bit. That would.
Yeah, imagine they just
much,
throw.
in my opinion.
Imagine they just give us all 6 of the tease characters in the first 6 episodes. Like that'd be a bit. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Pacing wise, I could see how that may be a problem, but I feel like feel like maybe they'll give us an original matchup for the 4th one instead of the tease characters.
Plus,
really
it is
so.
Plus, as much as I have like absolutely no issue with returning combatants, this is a case of one character coming back for a 3rd time and then 2 characters coming back for a 2nd time.
Yeah,
this is true. I mean, but really, it's all how they're scheduled. Unfortunately, because of their slight delay from last year and having matchups scrapped, maybe that's why we're getting the first 3 teased characters instead of just spacing them out like we did last season. But really, what's done is done, and it all just depends on their schedule. So I don't really, I can see where you guys are going with that, but let's just hope that the 4th matchup is an original character, is a different legacy matchup, or it's a completely original character matchup that isn't a teased fight.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest though, I feel like that statement only deconfirms Ant-Man vs. Atom and not any of the other big Marvel vs. DC fights.
So things like Mysterio vs. Scarecrow should safe.
Yeah, Mysterio vs. Scarecrow, Scarlet Witch vs. Zatanna,
Batman vs. Iron Man. Wink, nudge, nudge.
No. No, I don't see that one.
Only time will tell, Brobuscus. Only time will tell.
Although if that does happen, prepare for me to go ham on why Batman does not win that fight, and everyone should stop talking about that. But anyways,
and prepare for me to go ham on why Batman does win that fight.
So anyway, let's get into the production of this fight.
Okay, so surprise, surprise! This is a Sprite fight. I don't know why anyone expected differently, but yeah, it's a Sprite fight.
Okay. First of all, for people who are disappointed that this isn't going to be another 3D fight, again, how many times do we have to remind you? They only have enough money in the budget to do no more than 4 or 5 3D fights. Most of them being Unreal, then some of them being SFM fights. They can't do a 3D fight every couple of episodes, every 2 episodes. It just can't be done.
At least not anymore.
And
no. Although to make up for that, so this is interesting. So that little comment I made about the Sprite fights getting better after Shadow vs. Ryuko. So fun little side story. Luis decided to go to Twitter and post the first frame of this fight animation as sort of a thank you for getting Shadow vs. Ryuko on trending.
Yes.
And it's literally it's literally 2D sprites in the Unreal and a 3D background.
Yes, but not just any 3D background.
Yeah, from this point, cool announcement. From this point on, starting with this fight, they kind of leaned into it with Shadow vs. Ryuko, but it's more evident here. All the sprite fights are going to be using Unreal Engine maps for their settings.
Yep.
And just given what we've seen so far, that is wild.
Yeah, for real.
It's official. The sprite fights have hit. They've reached the top. They have reached the top of the mountain. They can't go any higher than this.
You say that, but like,
Yeah.
watch them climb even higher.
Well, yeah.
What happens when you reach the peak? Climb higher.
But there's no mountain. You climb higher.
Climb higher. You're still gonna climb higher.
Get a helicopter.
Get a helicopter.
Climb the sky.
Just be like Sanji, just run in the sky.
Skywalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But oh my god, like just going off of that first frame, it looks so fucking good.
It looks really good, which oh my gosh.
It's like I thought we peaked with Shadow vs. Ryuko, but like, oh my gosh, seeing this, like the sprite fights are gonna get even better. Hello, like, I thought that was impossible.
Which this means that the sprite fights, which I know not a lot of people who don't like sprite fights are gonna be looking forward to this, but this just means that the sprite fights for this season are essentially gonna be the highlight matches of this season.
Which is good.
Because what they'll lack, while they may not be 3D, they're still going to have 2D mixed with Unreal. So it's kind of a good compromise for them just not making it 3D.
Yeah.
And it's,
but like the way this,
and I can imagine it's a lot easier because
probably
they do have to do a lot of custom work on those backgrounds. And here, it'll just probably save them a lot of time to just use background templates in Unreal.
Probably. And just the way this area, it looks like, it looks more like a laboratory sort of thing, like a lab room inside LexCorp or something. I assume because we see Lex. I assume it's LexCorp because we see Lex in a tuxedo. But Yeah. We don't see Lex in his war suit, so I assume this is at LexCorp. So Doom's just gonna walk in and ruin his day, no doubt.
He'll be the one stealing 40 cakes.
Yeah, there's no 40 cakes, which is kind of upsetting. But again, like I said, I don't like when they throw memes into it. So
yeah, no, like that. I'll be okay if they don't throw that in. But yeah, no.
I mean, like they could probably work that into the analysis like they did with Lex versus Iron Man. But But for it being how the fight starts, like it's funny, but I wouldn't be okay with it.
Well, speaking of production, that does bring up another question regarding the voice acting.
Yes. Will they get Gianni Machagrano back for Lex?
Will Gianni get his first win?
Well, we'll get to that much later, but
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't want to rule out the possibility. However, we've gotten 2 returning combatants in the span of a few months with different voice actors.
This is true, yeah. And again, I know a lot of people don't like it when they don't get the actors to return, but it's like they want to do auditions. They want to try and look for somebody who can maybe go for a different take on these characters instead of just ringing them up. Like, look, the only reason Nicholas gets away with it is because he's literally there. He's like, hey, Nick. You know, you're a man. You're like our Mel Blancs. You know, you're a man of 1,000 voices. Could you do this? It's like, yeah, I can. Like, Nicholas is special. That's why he gets to come back so often.
Yeah. He's their voice acting king, even though he only has 2 wins. But yeah.
He'll still be a king even if he's dead.
True. I think it's. I don't know. I honestly don't know if they'll bring Gianni back. It's definitely possible, but I'm not going to rule out the possibility that he won't.
Yeah, it's equally possible and not possible.
Yeah. Although if they don't bring him back, my hope is that whoever they do get in works more towards Clancy Brown's Lex, because Gianni definitely didn't do that.
Yeah, no, he went for more. He went for a more Gene Hackman / Kevin Spacey type Lex Luthor, you know, the one who was very, very intellectual and had a bit of cockiness behind him. But yeah, whoever does voice Lex, I would very much like them to do a sort of hybrid of Clancy Brown meets the actor who plays Lex in Young Justice, because I love that performance in Young Justice. That confident Lex who's always 3 steps ahead of everybody and who always has a plan for everything. Because that's really what Lex is. He's, you know, he's a Batman-esque type character where he's always 3 steps ahead. He's got a plan.
What
for
if
everything.
Batman was evil?
Yeah, well,
that's basically what Lex is.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna look up that actor in Young Justice. Give me a second. But yeah, basically either do something like that or just bring Gianni back. I'm honestly fine with either.
Yes.
Mark Rolston, that's his name.
Cool.
Yeah. And
that's
then
for
the
Doom.
other big question: who are they going to get for Doom?
Who are they going to get for Doom?
Okay. See, that I feel like is a huge. Those are huge shoes to fill. Just as equally as Lex, but I would say they're more difficult to fill because Doom is not just a cartoony bad guy. He is generally a man who sees himself as having to be the hero nobody deserves, but the one that we need. Even though we're told that, oh no, but he's bad because he's doing it this way and that way.
Although whoever they get is in a losing battle already because having to compete with Paul Dobson from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Which that's quite hard to top.
Well, that and whoever played Doctor Doom in the '90s Fantastic Four cartoon, like that was also a pretty good voice.
Yeah. But yeah, with Doom, I legit have no idea.
I mean, it would be cool. I mean, again, the only name that comes to mind is Stephen Kelly, and
that'd be cool.
because he did play because he played Dracula, and Dracula does have those similar mannerisms to Doctor Doom.
Yeah. The only thing about that to be funny is if they do get him and then bring back Gianni, it's someone with 3 wins versus someone with 3 losses. So either adds a 4th one to both their records, or it's 3-1.
Yeah,
which is funny to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into that more later, but yeah. Of course, another obvious pick is Mal because he's he's the king.
Yeah, no, I could see them getting Mal. I mean, even though I don't know, like if he can do a Doctor Doom voice, then holy crap, then yeah,
I mean, the range on that man is.
I know, that's the thing.
So it's really not an improbability. So.
Look, if he can do Sonic, Kakashi, and Broly, then yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the rest of his performances, but they're extras. They're extras to prove the point. But yeah, aside from that, I have no idea. I'm willing to accept whoever they throw at us for Doom.
Yes.
Getting into we obviously don't know anything about the music, but there isn't a lot of hype going into this one, like with Shadow vs. Ryuko. What do you think would fit this theme, Brandon or Therawolf?
I mean,
My mind goes more towards Theirwolf, honestly.
Yeah, I
think
would
so?
say that. I mean, I don't doubt Brandon couldn't pull it off, but I think these two icons and their personalities do fit Theirwolf's criteria.
I mean, there's also like the aspect, like they could bring in some like techno aspect to the soundtrack, because they're both very tech heavy characters. And I don't think we've had a fight like this. Oh wait, we had Ultron versus Sigma, so I mean, I guess there's that.
Yeah, sure.
That was Brandon's track, so.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon has done he's done techno tracks before with
Infection
Perfection.
yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah. So, yeah, no.
All right. So I guess that's really all there is with the production. It's the sprite. It's the sprites. The fact that it's a sprite fight, the frame we saw, and will they bring Gianni back? That's basically what we got in terms of the production value for this one. Like that's basically the big questions. Although there's the other big question, which gets into the debate: who's gonna win?
And with that, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go dig Lex's grave.
Oh, come on.
Okay. I can't speak too much on this right now because I'm just kind of keeping up with the blog as they go. Right now, it's looking like the general consensus is Doom wins, but we are looking to see if there's anything for Lex. The way I see it, I'll let Richard basically have the floor because he knows more about this than I do. But the way I see it is Lex is probably on a physical level better than Doom.
Yes. This is true.
Lex is likely stronger. He's likely faster. I think Doom's shields are probably tougher than what Lex has got in terms of defense, but without the shields, I'd say Lex is probably tougher. But the thing about Doom's shields, I want to mention this. The thing about Doom's shields is that they're passive. They're always on. So it kind like people will argue like, okay, so why doesn't Lex just blitz Doom before he can even put up a shield? Like Doom always has a shield on, so that makes just completely blitzing him pretty much impossible. So that's that. So if it was just up to that, then Lex would win pretty easily. However, Doom's abilities and like magic and hacks and all that stuff is freaking absurd. Doom is often considered one of like he's one of the smartest minds in the world. Second maybe to like Reed Richards. And he's also one of the greatest sorcerers in the world, second to Doctor Strange. But that's the thing. If your superior is Doctor Strange, then that still speaks volumes on how good you are at magic and that kind of stuff. So the way I see it, it's Lex is on a physical level better, but Doom could just simply hack his I mean like when it comes to his shields, I don't mean like actually hacking Lex. I don't mean that. But like his shields, his magic, I think he could use that to just get past Lex's physical advantage. And again, I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I actually prefer Lex to win. I just like him more. I have nothing against Doom; he's a perfectly fine character, but I just like Lex more. Although it would be kind of cathartic to see a Marvel Herald be the DC one for once. Although I guess we do have Ghost Rider versus Lobo to back up on, but yeah, that's how I view it at least. But that's just with what I know so far. I'm willing to accept any argument for Lex. I'm willing to accept a victory for him if that's what it comes down to. But until I hear otherwise from like the blog or whatnot, for people who really know what they're talking about and are researching as we speak, then I'll stick with Doom until I'll stick with Doom till for the time being. That's all I got.
Yeah, no. Okay, I must disagree. I feel like a lot of people, like, okay, look, like, I can understand people saying Doom because, yes, you know, everything Brobuscus said is true. He is one of the most powerful sorcerers, second only to Doctor Strange, and he is one of the greatest minds in his universe, second only to Reed Richards, you know, and he does have magic, he does have an army, he has great shields, he has all this great stuff that makes him a powerful combatant. Like, it takes the entire Fantastic Four just to take this guy down, and he could even be an Avengers level threat if he wanted to. However, I think Lex Luthor, and again, I'm not going to say for sure because, you know, for all I know, there could be some stuff that they are going to get that they figured out that I don't know. But for right now, why I'm leaning more towards Lex, not saying for 100% yet, but the reason why is because Lex has way more better equipment than Dr. Doom. Like, Lex Luthor is arguably, I would say he's just as smart as Dr. Doom, if not smarter, because he has invented tech that Dr. Doom has never even gained access to. And he's even shown he is a master hacker. He was able to hack into Brainiac and beat him. He was also able to hack into the Hellbat suit, which was made on Apocalypse, and he was able to give Batman increased stats, even though that suit is supposed to be somewhat unhackable, but he did it. Anyway, you know, again, his war suit, I would say his war suit is just as durable and on the same level as Dr. Doom's. His shields are on the same level too. And what it really comes down to is, I think Lex's technology can get around Dr. Doom's magic, because that's the thing. Lex Luthor has fought the Justice League. He has fought beings that are way more powerful than him, and he has delved in magic before. So really, Doom isn't bringing anything new to the table, unless there is a specific incident where Doom, let's say, has the ability to just disintegrate somebody, and it's so powerful it can pierce through any material on Earth. Like, if he's got that, then okay, yeah, Lex may be in trouble. But
I have something on that note.
Yeah.
I have something that could help with that. So, a lot of the like, if you recall some of the spells that Strange used in Strange versus Fate, Doom has access to those too.
Okay.
One, since you mentioned like incineration, I was just scrolling through. One spell he does have is the Flames of the Faltine.
Okay.
And those are described to be powerful enough to burn and potentially even kill the Celestials. I don't know how powerful the Celestials are, but I have to imagine that they're pretty top-tier hitters.
Yeah, no, that is true. But once again, I would like to counter with, okay, Lex's war suit once again, it was made on the fiery pits of Apokolips, and Apokolips is said to be the hottest planet in the DC universe. Like it's pretty much like more hotter than a sun in some regards, but that just could be that either could be debunked or retconned. But what really tips it in Lex's favor for me is the fact that he doesn't just have better technology and a good enough war suit to go up against Doctor Doom. What really tips the scale in his favor is he has Superman. He can use and turn into Superman. Like quite literally, he has a tech. He has a tech that gives him the powers of Superman. Like when New 52 Superman died, he became Superman for a little bit until Rebirth Superman showed up. And basically, he has all the same power set, except he doesn't have... He took out the weaknesses to kryptonite and magic. And that is one of Superman's biggest weaknesses, but it's not a severe weakness.
At least not anymore. Like, Superman has definitely built up some sort of resistance to kryptonite at this point.
Yeah, no. And again, I don't think... And reasonably... Why would if Lex Luthor did keep the kryptonite weakness, then why the hell would he have kryptonite in his laboratory? Because, again, you gotta remember, it's Superman's weakness. And Lex, obviously, if he wants to have these powers, these godlike powers, he would want to make sure he doesn't have any drawbacks. And I would imagine that they are going to scale Lex to New 52 Superman, or even Rebirth for that matter. Because New 52 Superman, at its strongest, he was able to hold up a planet, the entire planet Earth, for 6 straight days without any solar radiation. And that is leagues above what Doctor Doom has gone through in his universe, because there are, like, aside from Sentry, there are no other people like Superman in the Marvel universe.
Which, to be fair, he has injured Sentry before.
This is true, yeah. So I have no doubt that he could put up a good fight against Superman. But what I'm just saying is, Lex has more variety. It's essentially a battle of quality versus quantity, and Lex does have more varieties on his side, and the fact that he has gone up against caliber beings like Doctor Doom has gone against. So really. It could go either way.
I would also like to point out, I'm just scrolling through, Doom has survived a blast from the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, and and Lex Luthor has survived hits from Superman, Darkseid. Like he has been through some shit that would have killed a normal human being. So really, this is kind of a close matchup.
Yeah, something I did find interesting. Yeah, I feel the same way. Something I did find interesting is that Lex is able to take an attack from Larface, who scales to Green Lanterns, and we all know how bullcrap powerful Green Lanterns are. So that's something I thought was interesting. I think what, for me, like, there's other things that tip things in Doom's favor as well. And, I mean, admittedly, some of this is harkening back to what they said in Lex versus Iron Man. You could argue how much that data has aged, but I'm just going to bring it up anyway. One is power absorption. Doom has power absorption, much like Iron Man did, and if you recall, that's how Iron Man was able to finish off Lex in their fight.
This is true. Yes, he could, and no doubt about it. Doom could absorb the power from the from the Lexo suit, but I don't believe he can absorb solar radiation. Like, you can't absorb Superman. Like, there's a difference between absorbing the power of a mech suit and the difference between absorbing Superman's powers.
True. I guess another thing, and this is I don't really want to argue this, because it's more of a meta argument than anything. But don't you think it'd be a little weird? Okay, so in canon, it's pretty much guaranteed that Doom is at the very absolute bare minimum on Iron Man's level. But in most cases, Doom has shown to be superior to Iron Man.
Yes, that is.
But so
very true.
with that in mind, and again, I really don't want to argue this, but it is something I think is worth bringing up. Don't you think it'd be a little weird if they say Lex would be Doom and not Tony?
Yeah, no, I would make the argument that I don't think Doom is on equal footing with Iron Man. I do agree that he's closer to somewhat of maybe Doctor Strange's level, like maybe below that, like bare minimum. Doctor Doom could reasonably be planet level if you really take into all consideration, But really, what it all comes down to is at the time. Once again, they were just using what they did at the time, and at the time,
True.
Lex only compared to people like Batman. Like, he was above Batman at the time, but now he's on equal footing with Superman and other people and other super beings like him because he has Superman's powers and he can just use them anytime he wants to.
Okay. That's definitely interesting. I'll be sure to bring that up with the G1 people, and I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, as of right now, again, my thoughts still stand. I'm siding with Doom, but I am more than willing to accept arguments to be made for Lex to win. I guess this is one.
No,
So I guess this is a fight where it won't really affect me either way. Like, it's just like, Lex won. It's like, Lex won, cool. Oh, Doom won, cool. Like,
realistically, I'm more biased. Again, this is a more biased DC thing, and because I love Lex Luthor, I really do like Doctor Doom as a character. But I've grown up with Lex. I like Lex. He's one of my favorite villains of all time. So, I mean, for now, I'm not going to 100% set it in stone that I'm picking Lex Luthor to win. I'm just going on his side for now, and until I see the finished episode, that's where I will make my decision.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
So yeah, that was the most mixed discussion we've had on next time.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's gonna turn out. But yeah, cool. So that's Lex versus Doom.
And now my gag will be completely irrelevant. No.
So yeah, cool. I guess let's move on.
Yes.
So okay, we have one, maybe two bonus topics to talk about, depending on how much time we have.
All right. I think we should go with the shorter one first, aka the one where it only revolves around one person.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys recall, if you guys have been keeping up, Richard's been a host on this podcast for more than a year now.
Yes.
Correct.
But we first had him on and asked him this question that we're going to ask him back when he first joined as a guest, way back in season 4.
Yes, and since then has happened already.
Yeah.
This is true.
So with that in mind, I want to hear we want to hear. We should have done this way sooner, but I think it's safe to go ahead and ask you the 3 questions we would normally ask new guests already.
Okay.
Except you're not a new guest; you've been a host for a while, but you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
So with that said, let's get into that. So let's start with the negatives. What's your least favorite episode?
Oh man. Wonder Woman versus She-Ra.
Yeah. Okay.
I've made it quite clear. I've made it quite clear that I don't like that episode. It was a giant waste of potential, and it was a terrible mid-season finale to end off on. That
I mean,
it
kind of
killed off a He-Man character, so that's kind of close to the chest.
I mean, we've kind of said all our thoughts about this episode already. So,
Yep.
There's really not much more we can add on to this. So with that said, what's your favorite episode?
Well,
Good luck with this one, buddy.
For the longest time, it was Samurai Jack vs. Afro Samurai, because that was just a dream matchup I wanted. And when it happened, it stayed on my favorites for a very, very long time. But now we've gotten 3 more seasons that have pretty much given me a new fight to love, and this is really the hard one. But I want to go ahead and say it is All Might versus Might Guy.
Valid.
Good choice.
Yes.
Very valid.
Good choice.
Yes. Yes. That episode is perfect. It was their third season. It was their third fight in Unreal Engine at the time, and it was the best of it. And it was the best of them all. And it pretty much laid down the foundations for how the episodes have come along in 3D animation. And I'm a huge fan of All Might. And I love Guy. He was one of my favorite Naruto characters. And that fight is just fun from beginning to end.
Cool.
Yep. I mean, I definitely agree with that. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much. Like, that fight does hold a very special place in my heart as well. Like, that, like, for multiple reasons. It's just, yeah.
It is definitely very good. Like even now with the production value going through the roof, it still holds up for what it is. But yeah, although I can't help but think that by the end of at least like this season, we're gonna go back and look at All Might versus Might Guy and just be like, oh wow, that there's some mess ups here, there's some mess ups there, like who knows? I'm sure the animators think that way though, but they think that way all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, although one thing I thought was funny, Richard, when you showed me the boards for this fight,
Yes.
when they were getting into that hand-to-hand right before the sixth gate was busted out, the boards there was literally no boards, and they were just saying like, "Here you are, go nuts," basically.
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
And
just improvised.
yeah, and it really shows Torian's skills when it comes to fight choreography on his own. Like, no boards, no nothing. Just here you go. Here's your scene. Here's your models. Go nuts.
Yes.
So that was cool. So, what's a fight you want to see? What's your most wanted at the moment?
Okay. It's kind of a two-way. It's kind of a tie.
Okay.
It's a tie between. It's a tie between Popeye versus Saitama.
Okay.
Because one, I love Popeye. Two, I love Saitama, and I feel like if you're gonna bring Saitama in to have him fight another somewhat jokey character, I would prefer it to be Popeye because that's.
I'll take it over Squirrel Girl any day.
Yeah, no, I don't like Squirrel Girl. I feel like, oh, they're just joke characters. Like, no, it's like you need to have some, like, you can't find anyone else other than Popeye to have Saitama fight because there could just that fight has so much potential. It could be a hand-drawn fight. It could be a sprite fight that has amazing hand-drawn elements. It could have great voice acting. You could obviously get Kagi to come back to play Saitama, and you could find somebody who does a great Popeye voice. And yeah, it could just be potentially great.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I will say, I like not to devalue Popeye versus Saitama because I do agree. It's just I feel like some of those things you could also say about Saitama versus Captain Underpants, but I mean.
Okay, yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. Captain Underpants versus Saitama is very, very good, especially because they're two bald guys. But I don't know. I just feel like okay. Yes, but I just feel like okay. No, it's like this is good. If I want a cartoon fight. I don't want a superhero cartoon fight.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's have Popeye instead.
Yes. And the second most wanted that I want is Jenny Winkman versus Robot Boy.
Ah. Yeah, I've heard this one before.
Yes. A lot of people think Jenny Winkman wins just because there was a feat that involved her lifting the sun up, but after my buddy John showed me some gifs of what Robot Boy does in his base form, I think Robot Boy takes it. It's also a case of it's Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. These were the two networks that I grew up with.
You'd be arguing heavily with. You'd be arguing heavily with Red Runner if that episode happens. Then.
Well, okay. If it happens, I would like it if we got Red Runner back on because I would love to debate this matchup.
Yeah, I'd be down.
But yeah, no. So yeah, it's Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. It could be a great sprite fight, like really, really great. And it would just be a blast of nostalgia to see these two because these two unfortunately are they've kind of fallen into obscurity. Like barely anybody remembers their shows anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like just like Static Shock, this and Danny Phantom and past other cartoon characters that have fallen into obscurity, this would be a great way to reintroduce them to the public.
Yeah, I'd be down. I don't really care about these characters, but I'm down.
Yeah, and honestly, like with how many people mainly due to Red Runner's video, admittedly, but the amount of requests that have popped up for this match have been insane. So I have little to no doubt that this is going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
I hope so. Even if I have to tell Luis to beg them on my behalf to get it on the bracket.
Understand.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also not much talk about other matchups for them, unless Mega Man versus Robot Boy is popular, and I don't think it is.
I remember there was a time when I would hear Jenny versus Astro Boy, but do you really want to bring Astro Boy back to Death Battle? I don't I don't know if I'd be okay.
No.
I don't know if I would
No,
be alright with that.
And I don't want to see Mega Man. If it's Mega Man Classic, I don't want to see him come back for a third time.
That's fair.
Yeah, Mega Man has his episode already.
Yes, so no Mega Man Classic. So yeah, just do this fight instead, because again, yeah, Red Runner got people talking about it, and after finding out that no, Jenny does not win that easily because of said sun lifting feat, I think it would essentially just be a modern cartoony version of Terminator versus RoboCop.
Yeah,
And Lord knows we need that fight to get to have some semblance of a redo.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, those are my most two wanted matchups.
Good choice.
Cool.
And yes.
So I guess we have time for the other one.
All right. Well, are you sure do you wanna? I mean, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that we would only do one and save the other for next time.
I think we have time for both. I think.
All right. All right. I mean, if you say so, that's fine. Although I don't know. To me, like, I think this one would take like a lot longer.
What do you mean?
And I don't know. Like, I just don't want this to go on for too long. So.
All right, fine. We'll save it for another time, I guess.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. It's like, yeah, we're being careful. We're trying not to make this 4 or 5 hours long.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Plus,
so I guess
we still have time. We still have time to fit it into the season. So.
True. So I guess you'll have to wait for next time for us to talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about.
Yes.
But yeah, too long didn't watch. Shadow vs. Ryuko is amazing, and Lex vs. Doom is looking to be pretty promising.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty much the long and short of it. So with that said, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed Shadow vs. Ryuko. Hope you guys enjoy Lex vs. Doom. I know we will.
Yeah. I hope you guys just enjoyed
Absolutely.
this recording in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next time. So with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Sayonara.
God damn.
I had to fit it in, okay?